Power Rangers Dino Fury is more phenomenal. The show fascinates me through its creative lore, relatable characters, and sleek designs. But one thing that makes Power Rangers unique compared to other shows is how it adapts Super Sentai. PR manages to expand on and rework existing assets to create a new story. I recently finished watching all of Ryusoulger. While not my favorite Sentai, I found some new appreciation for it. However, the abysmal opening arc held me back from giving the show another chance for a long time. Meanwhile, Dino Fury grabs the same batch of episodes and gives them a more natural progression. Today, I want to explore how these two shows opened with the same assets. I want to point out how Dino Fury rose above where Ryusoulger fell short. The setup for a new story-driven show is pretty delicate. You have to show who the characters are and their relationships. There are times in this arc where the writers want to do just that. This choice makes sense, as each Sentai is a separate entity. At other points, the show wants to skip the origin and get to the action. I think this only works well for characters like Spider-Man and Batman, since their origins are common knowledge thanks to years of repetition. As a result of these two clashing methods, Ryusoulger has one of the trippiest opening arcs in Sentai. The series starts with the Masters passing on their powers to our current heroes. This scene is a step in the right direction, as it immediately shows that the Ryusoulgers are a heritage. Just 2 minutes in, we get our first fight scene with the villains. It comes very randomly, as there's no explanation for the connection to the heroes. When the Elder explains who the Dredons are, it's only a few lines of dialogue about how they existed and left. Power Rangers Samurai did something similar for its opening, but it works there as it shows the Nylok as a threat, while G explains the Shiba clan's feud with the monsters. By making the connection apparent, the audience has a reason to care about the conflict. This lack of substantial explanation also hurts the relationship between the Ryusoulgers and their masters. In one scene, they mention that their students are a handful, but ready for the task. But it only lasts about 20 seconds. We don't get anything else apart from an earlier scene between Ko and Master Red, which is also pretty short. So when the masters died, I didn't feel anything. Sure, losing a mentor is pretty disheartening, but I wasn't invested emotionally as I never saw that chemistry between them. It's like if the 2002 Spider-Man movie skipped everything leading up to Uncle Ben's death. We would still feel kinda sorry for Peter, though seeing how much Ben cared for him added that extra emotional stake that prompts him to become Spider-Man. Episode 5 tries to expound on Master Red a bit more. Ko recalls how his master was strict, yet kind. However, Blue and Pink are practically non-existent, and given Mel and Asuna don't get focus episodes in this arc, there's no way to know about their masters. Not even the Ryusoulgers themselves get much focus. The first 2 episodes establish their basic attitudes. Ko is friendly yet impulsive, Mel is calm yet distant, and Asuna is cute yet strong. The most acclaimed Sentai have focus episodes for each ranger after the premiere. Look no further than Ryusoulger's successor, Kira Major. Each ranger faces some personal challenges as a result of being a hero. Senna has to balance her double life, Shigeru has to accept the weakness despite his stoic image, Tanimoto learns to criticize while avoiding cruelness, Sayo re-experiences her maturity after a memory wipe, and Judo accepts his leader status despite not fitting the traditional mold. The Ryusoul trio don't get their personalities tested by the battle. The only real example I could think of is Ko learning how to control his rage against Tank Joe in episode 5. Episode 3 tries to show Mel learning to be nicer to Tank Torigen, but it barely gets any focus compared to Yui's depression or Black and Green's introductions. Speaking of Toa and Mamba, they're oddly the ones who develop in this arc. This is despite joining slightly later as a separate duo, akin to the Go Rangers or Thunder Rangers. When he first appears in episode 3, Bamba tries to kill Yui as she's the source of the Minosaur. She's only saved by the others stopping him, but he is impersonal when dealing with Minosaur hosts. In the next episode, he almost does the same thing. However, he hesitates when realizing the host is an overworked father grieving their child's coma. The only personal connection Bamba's had up to this point is with his family, specifically Toa. He realizes that he and the man have the same care for family, so he spares them to be with his son. Bamba is determined no matter the cost, but he isn't invulnerable to personal feelings. Toa is the typical overconfident rookie. He thinks he and his brother can take care of everything since that's how it's always been according to him. Like his brother, he's very impersonal towards everyone else, but interacting with other people helps him consider that other people have feelings too. He admires how Ko and the others care about each other as people. He also notices a girl who helps foster animals just out of love. He learns that while he's strong on his own, companions will always help you balance yourself in other areas. I won't deny, these episodes focused on the two were pretty great, but there's a whiplash that comes from introducing free characters from the start, yet only exploring two that come later on by the 6th episode. The sporadic order of plot points also applies to the mecha. The first episode shows off Kishiryuo Free Knights, the combination of the core free. The second episode weirdly backpedals by only using Tiramigo and his solo Kishiryuo form. The Rangers find Toriken and Enkyuros in episode 3, leading to Free Knights again. The idea here seems to be a gradual build-up for combos. However, it loses steam as everyone already knew about Free Knights. Episodes 4 and 5 introduce Tiger Lance and Mill Needle, which makes sense given the focus on green and black. As episode 6 marks the true uniting of the team, they finally combine into the 5 Knights combo. The finisher reflects the color-based combos, including Kishiryuo Toriken and Enkyuros. However, they didn't appear yet on their own, making the ultimate combination feel only half earned. While Ryusoulger's pacing scatters all over the place, Dino Fury takes the opposite approach. Rather than setting a status quo quickly, the show gradually introduces its world and characters. This creates a much smoother experience, as the writers show how each character approaches their current situation. The show begins with Pink Ranger Amelia. She's the audience surrogate, meaning the events unfold through her view. Her traveling through episode 1 establishes the suburban setting of Pine Ridge. She first visits Buzz Blast, which is the more modern side of the city. Her news assignment leads her to the forest, which is the more natural half. Episodes 2 and 3 use her to explore the setting further, as she guides Zato throughout town to find answers to his questions. Going back to episode 1, she's the one who spots Void Knight trying to enter Dino Henge. The ensuing events lead her to becoming a ranger and discovering the history behind the Dino Fury team. Amelia has a pretty positive attitude, which is part of what drives her to discover new things. Episode 6 plays with this trait as her faith gets tested by Murphy's Law. The universe beats her down with bad luck, whether through a ripped sweater, smashed morpher, or injured friends. Thanks to superstition, she thinks all of these mishaps are her fault. However, Solon reinforces her positivity by reminding her that perspective determines outlook. As Amelia focuses on what's within her reach, she's able to find the power to stop Boom Tower from invading the base. When discovering Dino Henge, Amelia meets up with Blue Ranger Ollie. As the team genius, he serves as a nice contrast to her. While Amelia believes in the supernatural, Ollie prizes tangible evidence and rationality. Episode 1 gives a brief glimpse, though this trait shines in episode 2. The team finds Void Knight's Sporg scanner. Logically, Ollie thinks using the scanner with his mom's drone would help solve their problem faster. Despite his team's hesitation, he sticks to his plan based on pure reasoning. However, being so focused causes him to forget other possible consequences. It's not until a close call with Void Knight that he learns his lesson. He may be capable on his own, but only the others can help him become stronger through constructive criticism, and he admits verbally he should have considered the original plan. Rounding off the core trio is Red Ranger Zato. Being from ancient times, he connects the relationship between the team and the villains. While the Ryusoulger episodes told backstory through brief dialogue, Dino Fury adds more credence by visualizing the past. Episode 1 shows the brutal struggle between the Ravkonian Knights and the Sporix. The Sporix brutally ravage Ravkon, which adds to their threat as villains. The Knights almost lost on Earth, and while the Morphing Masters provided power, Zato's team died in the ensuing war. These flashbacks add emotional depth between the Sporix and Zato. The audience feels like they were there with Zato during the ancient battle. Knowing their destructive abilities, they worry for Zato's safety as he relives his worst nightmare. As he wakes up from centuries of sleep, Zato realizes he lost everyone a time. He remembers his mother in episode 3, who encouraged him to stay resilient. Things seem to look up when he gets a message from Ravkon, only for the modulator to break. After consulting the observatory, it seems it was just a false alarm. He also gets frozen by the monster Vipera in an earlier fight, who succeeds in freezing the city later on. All of these events make Zato feel useless. It's not until he's reminded of his mother's words that he gets the courage to persist. He's able to beat back Vipera and unlock the message thanks to his necklace powering the modulator. The main lesson he learns is about change. His past is intact, but he can still use his life to create a better future for himself and everyone else. Unlike Ryusoulger, Dino Fury takes its time to layer its existing trio. The writers flex what they already have before introducing new elements. So when Green and Black show up, they complement the existing Rangers instead of overshadowing them. Black Ranger Javi debuts in episode 4. He's pretty relaxed and friendly. He openly admits he wants a Buzz Blast job to help his music. Since Zato is also applying, the two have to accomplish different tasks to prove themselves. Javi writes about the Nephrite Orb, which the villains try to steal. Showing his responsible side, he takes the stone into hiding. The plot lines collide, as his stepsister Izzy helps the Rangers find him. Javi and Izzy smash the orb, making them the Green and Black Rangers. And so, the Rangers got to know the duo beforehand before they officially joined the team. But while Javi gets along with people, he's not emotionally honest. In episode 7, he gets upset when his dad confiscates his keytar. Javi tries to hide these emotions, though the others notice he's salty. When Izzy gets injured by Boom Tower, the warden blames Javi for not trying hard enough to help her. Javi's father is probably the reason why he can't open up. Since he criticizes him for his lifestyle, Javi feels he can only trust himself. After the Rangers find out about the keytar incident, they verbally comfort him. They also manage to find his Stegozord and buy him a new keytar at the end. All of these events help him realize the truth. He can depend on others. As I mentioned, Izzy appears alongside Javi in episode 4. Zato interviews her for his assignment, but the meeting cuts short when the monsters attack. She meets with the Rangers while checking on her father, and the rest continues. Izzy experiences a similar arc to Toa, in becoming others-oriented. In this case, the writers use her athlete status to provide a modern context. In episode 5, Izzy trains for an upcoming race. She becomes increasingly frustrated with her trainer Lily, who continues to arrive late. Despite having her reasons, Izzy refuses to hear Lily out. Lily has to remind her that not everything is about winning. Before the race, Izzy talks to a girl named Mona. Being in a wheelchair from a broken leg, she praises Lily's help over the past few days. Izzy immediately connects the dots. Lily wasn't slacking off, but helping. It's only then that she realizes how pride consumed her. Success is a powerful motivator in competitive spaces, and while her support network's job is to help her win, they also have lives outside of those duties. While Izzy eventually makes up with Lily, her real test comes within the actual race. As she takes the lead, she notices her rival Fern fall over a roof. Izzy knows helping out would break her winning streak. But would it really be winning if she tramples over someone else's misfortune? And what kind of example would she be setting as a champion? As a ranger especially. Like with the Rangers, Dino Fury also smoothens the Zord introductions. Episode 1 lacks any Zords to focus on the setup. Episode 2 introduces the T-Rex champion Zord on its own. It makes sense for Solon to find this one first, given its standalone battle mode. Episode 3 brings in the Tricera Blade and Ankylo Hammer Zords to add on to the T-Rex. By this point, the core 3 unite, literally and metaphorically. The later episodes make their introduction significant by tying them to the Focus Ranger. As Izzy learns consideration in episode 5, the Rangers unlock the Tiger Claw Zord and its Megazord formation. After realizing Lucas' objective in episode 6, Amelia leads the team with the pink-centered hammer formation. The Stegozord awakens in episode 7, thanks to Javi's passion powering his willpower. Episode 8 rounds off the color combinations with Ollie's Blade mode. With all 5 Zords unlocked and every combo used, the Rangers naturally combine everything into warrior formation. The writers brilliantly pulled off a gradual power increase. All of the previous combos were building up to this new super combo. Again, it's this idea of using everything established before bringing something new. Finally, another strong focus for Dino Fury is on its villains. I skimmed over discussing the Ryusoulger ones, as villains typically develop later in the show. Trion is the fun monster creator, while Tenkujo is the hulking powerhouse. But I feel the latter was strange plot-wise. The story sets them as a major general, only for the Ryusoulger to defeat him by episode 6. Later villains like Waizuru and Eras are also generals, but they stick around longer. Everybody loves evil rangers, leading Ryusoulger to bring in Ryusoulger. Despite being a selling point for the preceding Psycho Battle Special, Ryusoulger is absent until episode 12. His appearances throughout Ryusoulger are pretty sporadic, until Nada reveals himself in the late 20s. In Dino Fury, Void Knight kickstarts everything. He invades the base for the Sporix. He fulfills his evil ranger role by sparring with the Rangers occasionally. When he's not on the battlefield, his absence is explained as planning. Mucus rises through the ranks for regenerative abilities. On the other hand, Boom Tower is a robot created by Void Knight to take down the Rangers. Because of his specific purpose, he naturally feels more like an arc boss. His quick defeat seems plausible, since he was only a means to an end to which he failed. This trend of arc bosses is a new staple for Power Rangers by Hasbro. In Beast Morphers, Gargoyle comes in during the last episodes of Season 1. He's physically stronger than Blaze and Roxy, and even uses similar powers to the Rangers. But when he bites the dust, Evox is unbothered as he accomplished his purpose, to help Blaze and Roxy infiltrate Grid Battle Force. Conclusively, Dino Fury fixed Ryusoulger in terms of its opening arc. Both the characters and aesthetics feel earned within Dino Fury, as the show takes its time to establish itself. It also fully extends what it has before adding new components, making the introductions feel gradual. As for Ryusoulger, I can only describe its opening as whiplash. There are a few points where the writers recognize the need for progress. However, many elements feel unearned as they only receive half development or get overshadowed by newer ones. It feels like the writers just wanted to get comfortable quickly, so they skimmed through the opening. The whole point of this video is to show the importance of the opening arc. A few episodes aren't indicative of a series' quality, but it's crucial to hook in the viewer the right way. While streaming helps people watch shows faster, how they perform on the weekly determines their long-term success. While Dino Fury is moving towards Netflix, these first few episodes premiered on Nickelodeon. Japan uses a more traditional route, as they still have a set time slot for Sentai. Overall, comparing both arcs shows the do's and don'ts of opening a TV show, and the way these shows can teach us more about the production process is always something I'll find cool. EO!